we got to the grand final and you took 8 for 31.
Yeah.
Took a very early wicket, which sort of rocked them and then followed up and put them under pressure. What's your recollections of that bowling spell? Didn't go for very long.
Well, we had a little bit of an issue before we started play. Yeah. Actually, we had an issue on the Saturday night after we'd finished at Coburg. I went back to the local and at the Lincolnshire Arms, which is now just down the road from where I live, and a friend was there and he was asking me how we went for the day, and I told him about your super effort, and said, oh, we only made 160 odd. He said, oh, is that enough? Mind you, he'd been there for lunch, and lunch had been extended to about 7:30. And I said, oh, 160 gives us a little bit of a chance. And I said, would have liked a few more. So he decided to take things into his own hands and turned up the next morning and there was a bit of a wet patch on the wicket.
It had rained overnight.
It had rained, yes. This was a little bit wetter than normal.
Yeah.
I can remember bowling the first ball of the day about a foot outside the leg stump and got it back and this huge dob of mud on it. But that was about the only time it landed in there. So he's quite happy. He's quite proud that he was prompted to do it.
Okay.
So there was a little bit of a wet spot, but no, I think we got a wicket early, got a couple of wickets early, and then it sort of steamrolled a bit. And I think they got on the back foot a bit too. With Johnny Salvato, and they had a couple of other guys who bowled pretty well. I think they might have been a little bit short with the batting, but no, held our catches. Heard Johnson took a couple of good catches.
Big Ed took a ripper as well.
Yeah. And I think, once again, if you haven't got that depth, I think in the subbies too, if you can get a side 4 for 40, you're in a bit of trouble. You haven't got... I don't think there was a guys that batted throughout the comp, like who would bat 6, 7 and 8 who were capable of getting 50. I don't think there were too many sides that had those guys.
Yeah.
And I just know after I left Preston, just play with the locals, we had some fantastic teams, but we'd be the amount of times we were 5 for 50 but still made 180.
Yeah. Because
9, 10, 11 could all play.
Yes.
We just had that depth, I think. It was, you don't play many premierships and it was certainly very enjoyable. That was a good year.
The next year was, I think the team played consistently well. You took 72 at 6.7, which is unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
72. So I think you won by a clear margin, the competition average.
Could
have. I have set a record for the number of wickets in a season that particular year. So you were getting better and better, but we lost the final, which was I think we went into that pretty confident, but lost that final down at Elsternwick when we played Ormond.
Ormond, yep.
But do you recall very much about the game from your perspective?
Oh, it was horribly wet, on and off.
Yeah.
I think we were on the back foot, only made 87. That made it difficult for us. We finished up, about 40 behind on the first innings. I think we had him a little bit of trouble. There might have been about 5 or 6 for about 60, I think, in the second innings at one stage. But a few guys dug in. That Patterson made some runs. I think he might have finished up not out, I think.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
40 odd. And then we're on, off.
Yeah.
And then I think it belted down around tea time on the second or third. We played 3 days, second or third day. And that was pretty much, it was all over then. If it had gone the full distance, might have to chase 150 to win.
In your career, who was the best batter you bowled against?
If we're talking about Preston people, bowled against, I can remember is it Billy Goodenough?
Yeah.
Played well. He was a good player.
Yeah.
I suppose Les Joslin was another one.
What about in your entire career?
Les Joslin made the best 40 not out. We played at Footscray. Kenny Eastwood got 150. Les Joslin came in about 20 past 5. It was about 38 degrees, and he just put on an exhibition for about 40 minutes. He finished up about 45, 50 not out, and just played every shot in the book. He'd been a superstar, like from kids cricket from the Dowling Shield. He was an exceptionally good player. But in district cricket, played against a lot of the better players, but don't think I got too many of them out. Although I did get Paul Sheehan out twice. Unfortunately, once I was batting with him, he wasn't very happy about that when I read him out. Played against those guys, Stackpole. They only made rare appearances in the district cricket.
Because of the commitments. Mm.
To answer your question, look, I would have liked to have seen George probably 2 or 3 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd just sort of gone over the peak a little bit when still a good player.
Yeah.
You would know better than I that he must have been a pretty impressive player.
Yes, he didn't bowl short to him.
No. Yeah.
Looking back after, it's 47 years since you started at Preston, so that's a long time back. But what are your memories of Preston? What's with you since that time?
It was great 3 years. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thought the camaraderie was good. I think you're probably of that age. You're in your sort of mid-20s, a little bit older. Very social club. Met some good characters, some great characters. Still catch up with Bags. Yeah, no, it was 3 really enjoyable years. And you have team success and personal success, so you're halfway there, aren't you? Yeah, probably in the end, I think the travel got me down a bit. But other than that, just good characters, people like Jones and Dick, just did a power of work, made it very enjoyable to be there. And there was a bit of a bond too, I think. Knackers and Mick Ryan and those guys. Every club needs someone like that, apart from the cricket aspect.
Yeah, they are the heart and soul. Mm.
Yep, bit of cement that bonds everyone in together, usually over a beer.
Yep. What was the most memorable incident you had at the club?
The most memorable?
Mm.
I think probably the grand final. Yeah, that was extremely, satisfying, enjoyable. Again, without trying to sound too, getting into fantasy too much, it was good that played with that grand final. It was good camaraderie. And all through that 3 seasons, I think people supported each other really well, which you probably need to win anything.
You do.
Sport, business, or whatever, if everyone's pulling in the same direction. And I think a few people might have been unavailable at various times, but basically Dick, and then the year that Eddie was captain, you probably had the opportunity to probably pick almost your best 11 each week. Pretty important, I think, given that, these days, and we're finding this with the locals now, we've got the 21st this Saturday and I can't play, and someone's getting married, and then, I've got to take the dog to the vet, and 400 excuses, and it's become a little bit more social.
Yeah.
I think in those times, Saturday was cricket.
It was.
Couldn't remember too many people saying, sorry, I can't play this week, I've got something on, I've got a wedding. Well, you can't go to the reception at 7 o'clock. I still can't understand that, but...
I got married on a Monday, David, so that I could play cricket on the Saturday.
I got married on a Friday, so I could play on the Saturday.
Now, what have you done since you've left cricket? You're a family man.
Got the 3 kids. We've done. They've all flown the nest well and truly.
Mm-hmm.
Been fortunate enough to do some travel, mainly Europe and the US. This is about the third. I think it's only the 3rd winter in about the last 15 years that we've been home.
Right.
And then we've got into some house exchanges, which have turned out to be fantastic. So we've had 3 in Italy, 1 in the States, 1 at Cape Cod, 1 in London, and we've got 1 owing in Austria, which we'd like to take up in a couple of years' time. So that's worked out really well. So Travelled, finished teaching, retired. Bit of golf until I hurt my hand. No, that's about it. But mainly travel's been high on the agenda.
Fantastic. Looks as though it's looking after you pretty well, Dave. You've hardly aged except for the colour of your hair, I can.
Well, the hair.
Sure.
Bones creak a bit more.
And finally, the 1860 Club, which we've put together this year. What are your thoughts about it? Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fantastic idea. The 1860 bit, I think, is just terrific if the money gets ploughed into away from paying players, as long as it's into just improving conditions, helping the kids out, paying for some coaching. I think it's a great idea. Like, you've just got to recruit locally and foster things locally. I think if the money can be channeled towards side issues, well, they're not side issues. They're probably there are side issues in regard to actually the playing of the cricket, but they're just going to develop the club, I think. No, I think it's to be commended. I think the idea is fantastic.
Well, we look forward to seeing you at the club. We'll have a couple of functions during the course of the period, and we will let you know. But Dave, thank you very much for your time this morning. This is going to be very well received in the club because you do have an incredible status and awe about you and your record, and a lot of people will be so pleased to see you and see that you're doing well.